Welcome to the deep dive. We take a stack of sources and really try to pull out the most compelling insights for you. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something truly fascinating and, well, maybe a little unexpected. We're looking at the erotic novels of Anne Rice, writing as A.N. Roquelaure, specifically focusing on beauty's punishment.
That's right. It's this adult fairy tale trilogy, and it explores themes of discipline, love, surrender in very direct, sometimes quite unsettling ways. Our goal today is really to unpack the intricate world she creates, the complex psychological stuff going on, and the surprising turns in the story. We want to help you understand the why behind the what in these narratives.
Okay, let's explore this then. Our source material is an excerpt from the second book, Beauty's Punishment. It picks up Princess Beauty's story after the claiming of Sleeping Beauty. And our mission here is to delve into the journey of Beauty and Prince Tristan. They're navigating this world where normal ideas about submission, dominance, even gender preference are just completely redefined. So our journey into Beauty's punishment starts, maybe surprisingly, in this world of enforced pleasure. Could you kind of paint a picture of Queen Eleanor's court and Beauty's initial role there?
Sure. So the book opens with a recap, setting the scene. Beauty's at Queen Eleanor's court right after the prince's kiss woke her up, and she finds herself essentially designated his naked pleasure slave.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah. The court itself is depicted as, well, grand, opulent, but totally controlled. It's filled with hundreds of naked princes and princesses, all serving as playthings. There's a training hall, a hall of punishments, this ordeal of the bridal path. And Beauty was, amazingly, the undisputed favorite. Both the prince and Lady Juliana favored her. But here's a key thing. Despite this really privileged position, Beauty develops a secret and forbidden infatuation. Specifically with two other slaves, Prince Alexei and Prince Tristan.
And this is where the motivations get really complex, isn't it? Because the narrative takes this compelling turn. Beauty, in what's called a moment of seemingly inexplicable rebellion, deliberately disobeys. She chooses to share the same punishment meant for Tristan. Banishment from the voluptuous court to the degradation of harsh labor in the village nearby. They literally get thrown into this wobbly cart with other condemned slaves, bound and gagged.
And that journey, actually, it serves as this really critical psychological turning point for both of them. The commander who's overseeing their transport, he reflects on the villagers' sort of glee, their excitement at the prospect of buying these pampered slaves for just a few coins.
There's a few coins.
Yeah, to serve the lowliest kitchen maid or stable boy.
Yeah.
And this observation, it just highlights this stark contrast in their value, their purpose, depending entirely on where they are. It signals this severe shift in their reality.
Right. And amidst all this humiliation, Beauty and Tristan, still bound up, gagged, they manage to free their mouths. And they even find a way to engage in some illicit intimacy right there in the cart. Tristan actually asks her, why did you disobey deliberately? Did you want to be sent to the village?
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Beauty reflects on the castle punishments, describing them as voluptuous and exciting.
Voluptuous.
Yeah. She talks about exquisitely tooled leather paddles and straps, followed by warm, perfumed baths. She even remembers the crown prince calling village punishment sublime punishment. So it suggests this deeper, maybe subconscious, desire for a different kind of intensity, maybe something more raw, outside the gilded cage of the court.
That feels like a crucial piece of the puzzle. And Tristan, too, he carries his own past that shapes how he experiences submission, right? He reveals that he and this Lord Stefan, they were lovers in another land. But at the castle, Stefan became his master. And Tristan found that dynamic just unbearable. So this tension between past affection and present dominance, it really sets up a key theme about how subjective these relationships are. So, okay, their journey ends, they arrive at the village, and it's a scene just starkly different from the court. They're immediately separated, hands bound behind their necks, and the commander declares, there is no speech for slaves in the village. Any who speak shall be gagged again more cruelly than they have ever been before. How does this immediate dehumanization hit the slaves?
Well, the commander's words, they just instantly strip them of any agency, any voice. He says, you are beasts of burden now, whether that burden be labor or pleasure. And the villagers are described as alight with obvious pleasure, just eagerly waiting for the auction. You hear the red-haired princess wailing, oh, what's to happen to us? Why did we disobey?
Oh, wow.
And Beauty tries to comfort her, saying, remember, it will be very much like the castle finally. We will be punished, made to obey. But the princess just immediately replies, no, it won't be. And that reveals this huge gap in their understanding about the different kinds of captivity they're facing.
Yeah, that difference is key. The auction scene itself sounds designed to be just deeply humiliating, dehumanizing. The princes, Tristan included, are publicly tormented, meticulously inspected like livestock, reduced just to physical attributes. It seems engineered to ensure total submission and show the complete lack of agency in this new, brutal place.
Exactly, this very public, almost clinical examination. It stands in such stark contrast to the maybe more controlled or decorous humiliations of the castle that Tristan mentions later. Tristan is sold off to Nicholas, who's the queen's chronicler, for 25 gold pieces. Yeah. And then Beauty is dragged onto the block.
And Beauty faces a similar public degradation. Right, her body's put on full display, subjected to invasive examination, public cataloging. It emphasizes her transformation from princess to just a purchased object. She's even physically punished while on display, just cementing that new status.
And placing this in the broader context, the language used is really crucial here. She's sold to Mistress Jennifer Lockley, the innkeeper, for 27 gold pieces, and she's described as a spirited and amusing little princess, surely to be whipped for her bread and butter as much as anything else.
Whipped for her bread and butter.
Yeah, this immediate shift to just pragmatic, brutal servitude really marks the true beginning of their village life. Their value is purely utilitarian now.
Beauty's first experience at the inn with Mistress Lockley sounds quite telling. Mistress Lockley explicitly lays out the expectations of submission, even how Beauty should react during a spanking. Twisting, groaning, bouncing under my paddle, to show me how you feel it and how you appreciate it.
And this instruction is key, I think, because it shows servitude isn't just about physical force. It's about shaping the inner world of the slave, requiring them to perform submission emotionally, which leads to a deeper, more pervasive kind of control.
The performance of it.
Exactly. And we also meet Prince Roger, who's been a village slave for a long time. He reveals something pretty shocking. Lady Juliana, who is Beauty's former mistress at the castle, she now comes back to the village just to punish him. Roger calls her a terror. And he even suggests Beauty might face the choice of becoming one herself eventually.
That's a fascinating paradox the book throws up, isn't it? The lines blurring between victim and tormentor. This idea that servitude could unexpectedly become a path to a unique kind of power or control for the individual within that dynamic. Then Beauty has her first encounter with the captain, who becomes her master in the village. And this involves like a forced display of her body, him using his jeweled dagger for pleasure, and he just declares, "You're my slave."
Right. And the village, in essence, it's presented as this place of constant public display, nonstop. We see scenes at the place of public punishment, the turntable, the maypole, the pillories, where slaves are just tormented for public amusement. Yeah. There are even public tents where slaves can be hired out by the hour. This constant visibility, it normalizes and reinforces the extreme environment.
Meanwhile, Tristan's journey with Nicholas the Chronicler deepens quite a bit. Tristan experiences this pony life he's harnessed, has nipple clamps, wears a horsetail, he pulls a coach. He feels this sense of annihilation. Yet he also learns from another slave, Gerard. And Gerard has found this really strange pride, even maybe love, for his master through this exact process.
Yeah, that's a truly compelling detail, this emerging paradox.
Yeah.
How degradation can, for some people, actually lead to a form of pride. Gerard, who's a seasoned slave, tells Tristan, "I adore him, Nicholas. I almost lost my mind from pride." It suggests this really complex psychological adaptation, a new kind of identity forged in these extreme conditions where self-worth gets tangled up with devotion.
Which brings us right to the core of this deep dive, really. These profound conversations between Tristan and Nicholas. Nicholas asks Tristan straight up if he hated being whipped on the turntable, and Tristan's answer, a resolute no.
And when Tristan says he didn't hate it, that just defies our conventional understanding, doesn't it? Yeah. How does the novel explain that lack of hatred? What's the psychological state he describes instead?
Well, he struggles to articulate it, eventually confessing submission. Yeah. He explains that Lord Stefan, his former lover, failed as a master because he allowed intimacy to weaken him. Intimacy as weakness in that context.
Exactly. Tristan states, one has to love the master or mistress. He even admits he loved the whipping master on the turntable.
Wow. Okay, the plot deepens even more when Tristan articulates that he actually needed this. He needed to be well harnessed and bitted and shod and driven hard. He frames his willingness to obey as his only hope for a deep love, a loss of myself to someone.
A loss of self.
Yeah. He describes this remarkable exhilaration he felt on the public turntable, feeling like he belonged to the crowd, to hundreds and hundreds of masters and mistresses. He says, I am being turned inside out. I belong to the captain, and to you, to all who look, I am becoming my punishments.
And Nicholas, the intellectual master, he offers this really profound philosophical framework for it all. He suggests that for the true slave, the rigors of the castle and village actually become a great adventure. He says the master creates the order, lifts the slave out of the engulfing chaos of abuse, and disciplines the slave, refines him, drives him further. He even redefines engulfing not as overwhelming, but as embracing for those who find their purpose within this dynamic.
So for Tristan, it becomes this glorious surrender, finding perfection through submission to this irresistible figure at the core of it. But what about Beauty? When they're briefly reunited, she tells Tristan something quite different. She says, "My soul is still mine and the only thing a slave can truly possess, and I'm not ready yet to give it." She says she left the castle specifically to find harsher and more indifferent masters.
And the intriguing thing here is seeing these contrasting internal landscapes, right? Tristan finds release, transformation, in totally dissolving himself into the master's will. He sees it as a path to a deeper love, whereas Beauty, while she embraces the physical extremity, consciously guards her inner self. This duality really offers multiple perspectives on survival and identity under absolute control. It shows it's not just one monolithic experience.
Yeah, definitely not. But their reunion is cut short very suddenly, violently. This slave raid on the village. Turbaned riders burst in, Beauty's captured, roped to a horse, taken out to sea to a waiting ship.
This is a huge turning point.
Yeah.
It shifts the setting, the whole nature of their captivity completely. Beauty wakes up to an olive-skinned attendant who grooms her, oils her with cinnamon, paints her lips, adorns her. She's basically transformed into exotic merchandise. Laid out for examination, her body becomes this canvas for pleasure and display.
Right. And then Tristan arrives, similarly adorned with gold and jewels. He engages in these elaborate, almost ritualistic acts of pleasure, while she responds with, intensifying desire. And then they're both placed in these golden cages with mesh coverings over their genitals.
But this apparent slave raid, it's quickly revealed to be something else entirely. It's actually a calculated high-value transfer. A lord from the queen intercepts the ship, explains the sultan paid an enormous indemnity, and will return them unharmed in 2 years.
So they were never in real danger.
Not in the way they thought. They were essentially being repositioned as extremely valuable exotic merchandise. And the Lord's advice to them is really the ultimate lesson in navigating this world. He tells them, be brave and be clever. Clever at pretending you are not clever. That you are no more than the most abject little bundles of ever-demonstrable passion.
Wow. Mastering the performance of passion.
Exactly. Mastering the art of performing absolute, unthinking passion to survive, even thrive, within this new, highly stylized captivity.
This really does redefine their whole situation. Tristan finds solace in Beauty's words, "It's but another turn of the wheel. We belong to others." They move into this new phase, voluptuous captivity, focused on heightened sensory experience, performance. They're even paddled while embracing in their cages and find this jubilant pleasure in the shared extreme discipline. So after all that, what does this all mean for us, thinking about it now? The journey of Beauty and Tristan through this really immersive, often quite unsettling world. It seems to reveal some profound truths about human desire, control, and the surprising ways individuals find meaning, or maybe even a perverse kind of freedom with an absolute surrender.
Yeah, looking at the overarching themes, the narrative just constantly challenges our assumptions about pleasure and pain, consent and coercion. It's always pushing those boundaries. It explores the psychological underpinnings of submission. Is it a chosen path for self-discovery? Is it just a survival mechanism? Or maybe a reflection of some innate longing for adoration, for purpose within a really defined structure?
It certainly leaves you with a lot to chew on, doesn't it? This deep dive into Beauty's punishment, it shows us that even in the most extreme circumstances, human beings find ways to adapt, to feel, and even to forge connections that really defy conventional understanding. It makes you wonder, in a world where control is absolute, what truly defines a self? And maybe, can true agency ever actually be found in complete abandonment?